So quick review, any question at this stage? We will complete chapter 15 very soon. DC motor interfacing with our AVR controllers, and we will start chapter 17, that is PWM mode of operation. And hopefully we will finish that as well today. Right? So DC motors, if you remember, we started understanding the concepts of DC motor. Magnetic field due to current, we understand that. Right? Is there a force between two current carrying wires? Answer is yes. Right? Then we understand Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. This is not covered. All right. So this is what you have studied in high school. Right. So okay, I will discuss that very quickly. So we understand the magnetic field due to current. Right. Right hand thumb rule. Those who are having access to internet, can you just search right hand thumb rule? Right? Magnetic field due to current. So we are just building our physics concept for the motor. That is it. And then we understood there is a force between two current carrying wires. And then we say, okay, Michael Faraday gave the law of electromagnetic induction, and this is simplified version. Change in magnetic field through a conductor produces electric voltage. Right? This is review from high school. Right? Faraday's law of induction, right? Electromagnetic induction. I think you studied, and that builds to the motor. Right? That is the goal. Then Fleming's left-hand rule for motors. So can you search left-hand rule? So 3 fingers at 90 degrees to each other, right? Which is force, which is current? Can you figure out? You can search online. You will have the visual Fleming's left-hand rule for motors. Can you search? Everyone online, can you search? Right? These are the rules we are using, and that is our DC motor. Right? Our goal here is to connect it to AVR controller. So Fleming's left-hand rule for motors, and this simplified version. Online you can see the diagrams as well. And when current flows in a wire and an external magnetic field is applied across that flow, the wire experiences a force perpendicular both to the field and to the direction of current, and that creates motion. And this is our motor, right? We want to study the motor and want to connect it to our AVR controller. The previous things were the rules and the laws of physics that we studied in high school. So that is quick review. So now here, right, the direction of current will decide the direction of rotation of the motor, right? So on the left hand side, we have one scenario. Okay, this is the polarity, positive and negative this way, and assume the motor rotates in this direction. You change the polarity. So this is we call clockwise rotation, and you change the polarity and it is counterclockwise rotation. The point is the change in the current direction. Okay? And again, you can use all our rules, right? We have studied to figure this out. Fine. Now from our microcontroller perspective, we can design what we call H-bridge motor configuration. So we have supply voltage here and ground here, and we have 4 switches. These switches can be transistors, right? BJTs or MOSFET. We studied previously. Yes or no? And that can complete the circuit. So for example, switch 1, I'm just simplifying the diagram. So this is what we have on the PPT. And then we have these 2 nodes. And this switch can be a BJT. So here can be the diagram. And from here we can connect it to AVR pin. All right. So when you have logic 1 here, this transistor is on, so this is connected. Switch is closed. If you send logic 0 here, this is open. Fine. You can have push button, answer is yes. Right? Any switch, right? We are talking about switching mechanism. In the lab, we have been using the push buttons. Now, understand the difference. Understand the difference. You want to control this as output from the AVR controller. So if you use push button switch, right, they need to connect it to the output of in such a way that when there is logic 1, the button is pressed. So it will need an additional mechanism, right? So input switches in that case are good for our input to the controller. And when we talk that way, this is connected to the output pin. We send logic 1 and this is closed. Right? So this is different scenario of application of switch. Fine. We can have MOSFET here and so forth. So these are the switches. Right? 4 switches. And we can have this again, all these diagrams are from textbook. So credit of the diagrams goes to the author. Right? We can have one scenario. Okay, you close switch 1 and switch 4. So you see the direction of flow of current. Looking into this, it is moving from left to right. Right, this is the direction of current. VCC switch is closed, motor switch 4 is closed, ground. Clockwise rotation. You change the direction of current. Right? Remember, these 2 switches are open at this stage. You change the direction of current by closing switch 2 and 3, and these 2 are open. Okay, plus voltage, switch 2 is closed, motor, switch 3, ground. Different direction of motor. Right? So the direction of motor changes. So one thing from the embedded system perspective is you want to change the direction of motor. So there are 2 types of motion, 2 different directions. Right? You consider this screen, right? Okay, moving up, one direction of motion, right? And moving down, another direction of motion. And you can relate to many of the scenarios where we have 2 different directions of motion. You go, you use the lift or elevator, right? You may argue door opens and door closes, 2 different directions. Right? You may go to any mall, right, for shopping or something, and you enter. In many cases, it is automated doors, right? It will sense you, doors will open. One direction of motion. After you enter the mall, doors are closed. 2 directions. So this is essential from embedded system design perspective, that we understand 2 different directions. Right? And we can achieve by closing the switch. Now this is not valid if you close all the switches in this configuration. Then we have short circuit between plus voltage supply and the ground. This is invalid scenario. So we have, say, motor operation with reference to all 4 switches here. So you can easily solve this question. Here is a question for your reference. Write a AVRC program to perform following. Run a DC motor in clockwise direction if turn on switch is pressed. So assumption is we have a switch connected as input. If it is pressed, run the motor in clockwise direction. Point 2, if the reverse switch is pressed, again assumption is we have another switch, right? Run the motor in counterclockwise direction. Draw the circuit diagram. Now these are simplified circuit diagrams. You should know, right? These diagrams are language of engineering. So you should know simplified electrical diagrams or electronics diagram. So I think you can easily write down the program. Right? Now factors that determine speed of motor: load, voltage, and current. Right? The motor is there. What do you connect to the motor? These are the factors that determine the speed of motor. And there is a concept pulse width modulation. So we are sending the pulses to the motor, right? Change the width of the voltage pulse. This will change the power applied, and this will control the speed of the motor. All right. So here is example. you keep the pin, suppose this is the output pin at logic 1 forever, that is 100% DC power supply, and with reference to the controller. You send this kind of pulses, in this case it is 75% on and 25% off. We are transferring duty cycle of 75%, 50%, 25%, and so forth. And we can do this with the programming. All right. And here is another question that you can solve very easily. Write AVRC program to automate projector screen in the classroom in the following way. Now, the projector screen, you can see that we have up and down motion. At the same time, when it reaches the maximum, the motor stops. So let us observe. You can hear the motor running. Yes or no? So it stops when it reaches the maximum high. There should be some limit switch. Let us see. So motor stops. Right. So in real life, in addition to that two-directional motion, we encounter the limit switches as well. Right. And similarly, if you scroll down, there will be another mechanism to stop the motor when it reaches the maximum low. Stops. All right. So this is a question that in a way makes you capable of controlling this mechanism with AVR program and hardware. So switch for down motion is connected to this input. Right. Switch for up motion is connected. Right. If then we have switches, right? If both the switches are turned on simultaneously, turn off the motor. Two limit switches are there. If they are activated, turn off the motor, and so forth. So based upon our input, can we control the motor? So answer is yes. I think this is a simple program that you can write easily. Okay. And again, you can see many such limit switches. For example, in many of the lift, right, unless you close the doors properly, it will not move up or down. Yes or no? Right. This is precaution, and we have such switches, and you will find it at many places. So that concludes our chapter number 15's discussion. We move to the next chapter, chapter 17, that is PWM modes of operation. Any question at this stage? Right, chapter 15 we discussed two direction of motion. Why? In embedded system we deal with those scenarios very frequently, very regularly. Okay. Now second concept is the speed of the motor, and that varies in real life. Right? You see the fan. Now of course it is AC voltage scenario, so the world is different in some way. The concepts are similar, that okay, we have fan, we can send maximum voltage there, we have regulator through which we can control the voltage going there, and the speed of the fan will change. Right? Again, you can think about the lift. Right? Generally speaking, when you start the motion, it will be slower motion, then it will pick up the speed, then gradually it will stop. There are no jerks that okay, suddenly it starts and reaches the end of the motion and you stop. Okay? So change of speed that we can achieve with PWM mode of operation. So that facility is there in timers. So we'll focus on timer 0. And we are quite expert of timer 0 at this stage. Right? If you recall all these registers, TCCR, TOV, TCNT, and so forth. So we are using the same control register. But when we studied control register last time, we say, okay, we will study first two mode, normal and CTC. We say we will study these two later on, PWM, phase correct, and fast PWM. It is what we are going to study now, because now we have the real application, that is the speed control of the motor. Right? So these two modes of operation we'll study. And by the way, your experiment set 5 has one question from each. the fast PWM and phase correct PWM. So it is very essential from embedded system design viewpoint. We understand how we control the speed. Right? So we'll study both of these. These are very simple things. I think we can finish in half an hour, hopefully. So the point is now we are using same TCCR0. We are using these two configurations. And to support that, we will change something on D4 and D5 as well. Last time we said, okay, we'll keep them 0. We don't bother about them. Now, to expand the features of this PWM, phase correct and fast, there are additional features of D4 and D5. So that we'll study. We are familiar with this diagram. The same thing applies. So timer 0, normal mode, we know. This is time on x-axis. On the y-axis, we have the value of TC and T0. Right? It starts from 0 all the way to FF, rolls down, again all the way to FF, rolls down. So this is normal mode. If it is in compare mode, what happens? We have a value in OCR0. So our TC and T0 value will start from 0 or wherever you have assigned it. It will go all the way to OCR0 and then rolls over, and we have the compare flag on. Okay. So these are the waveforms. We have studied this. These are the things we have studied, right? So moving forward. Now we focus on the PWM output. The PB3 pin can serve as an external output for the timer 0 compare match. And the PB3 pin has to be configured as output to solve this function. So if you go back, we have input pin T0. And many of you, I think all of you who are working in the lab have done some experiment of giving some signal to that T0 pin. That is input, designated input, right, for timer 0. Now there is a designated pin for the output from timer 0, that is PB3. Okay, that is PB3. So here is the fast PWM mode diagram. So we have this block diagram for timer 0. Eventually, the output is sent on one pin, that is what we call OC0, and it is port B, pin 3. So all these waveforms are sent where? There is a pin dedicated to it. And here is that pin. Our 40 pin IC, this is PB3, here we have OC0. This is output, designated pin for output. Right? So fast PWM mode. In fast PWM mode, the counter counts like CTC mode. It starts from 0 to OCR value and rolls over back to 0, 0. This sets the OC flag to indicate a capture. However, there is a dedicated pin on chip which sets clear or toggle when capture occurs. So diagrams will illustrate this. Again, these are from the textbook directly. So this is what is happening in fast PWM mode. This is what is happening with TC and T0. And this is what is happening with the output pin OC0. So that is a pin, that is output. So suppose this is the value, dot line here is the value of OCR0. Then what happens? Right? Initially, right, this output pin is logic 1. When your TC and T0 crosses this OCR0 value, it goes to logic 0. Right? And when it rolls over, it becomes logic 1 again. Crosses the value, logic 0, and so forth. Now, these are 3 different graphs with 3 different values of OCR0. Okay, this is lower value. This is somewhere towards the middle or higher than that. Suppose this is our OCR0 value, then how the waveform happens? So this is our TC and T0. It will start from 0 all the way to FF, rolls over, and so forth. Now, what is happening when it crosses OCR0? Our output pin, OC0 pin, and till it matches this value, it is logic 1. Then it rolls over to logic 0, right? And then we start again the TCNT 0 count. It goes to logic 1 and 0. And someone may put extreme value that, okay, I want to put OCR 0 equals to FF. Then it is always 1. Right? This is extreme value. So this is what is happening with fast PWM mode. Do we understand the waveforms? Where is our output? Output is on pin number PB3, that is OC0, designated pin. Fine. Yes. Right. This, so I think second diagram illustrates in better way. Now this one way of looking at it, can we have inverted waveform? Inverted waveform. Digital logic we have 1 and 0. Right? The complementary scenario. So yes, we can have the complementary scenario. And that is what we call inverted. So this is non-inverted and this is inverted. At previous case, what we studied was non-inverted. Yes. Yes, till our TCNT count crosses this OCR0. OCR0 should be here. Yes, this line is OCR0. This value. This is OCR0 value. In this case, it is extreme OCR0. So we are matching with OCR0. So does it answer your question? Fine. Right. So this is what we call non-inverted. If you want to take the complementary logic, we have inverted. So waveform is OC0 bar. If you run in this mode, it is just inverted. So initially it is 0, then when it crosses, it becomes logic 1, again becomes 0. So it is just inversion. Yes, question. Depends upon the application. So say scenario that when we want to have different speeds, right, that may depend on one another. Right. So suppose we have some gear arrangements, just an example, where you want to make sure that the speeds are complementary. One can get say either inverted or non-inverted waveforms. Right. So it gives more flexibility. So do you want to run on the inverted mode or non-inverted mode? Again, it depends upon which specific application you are using. Yes. Yes. And this inverted, non-inverted is decided by D4 and D5 bits of control register. So it gives additional freedom. And you can think about any application and where we may utilize it. So here is our table that, okay, so far we were taking D4 and D5 as default. Right? Now D4 and D5 in this mode of operation have some meaning. If both of them are 0, that is what we have been doing. 0, 1 is reserved for future development. 1, 0, we have non-inverted, and 1, 1, we have inverted PWM. So this inverted and non-inverted is decided by the values of D4 and D5. Where are they? They are in our control register. Fine so far? Yes or no? So D4 and D5. Right? Now we are using them. This control register. And how to calculate the duty cycle, etc. So we have nice equation. Again, this is from the author. So we can calculate the duty cycle with these equations. This is for non-inverted, this is for inverted. Right? Non-inverted waveforms. Duty cycle equals to OCR 0 plus 1 divided by 256 into 100. And for inverted, it is 255 minus OCR upon 200. And many times we need to have the pre-scaling, and depending upon the clock frequency, again we can calculate like this. Right? What is our target frequency? What is clock frequency? Right? this will give you the ratio for n. So duty cycle, right? Is it clear or not? We start till we reach OCR 0 value, it is on. Till we reach OCR 0 value, it is on. And then it rolls over. So OCR 0 plus 1 divided by 56. That is on time. Clear or not? Okay. This is complementary to that. You must use this equation in the lab, right? In the lab assignment, you need to calculate using this equation. Simple. So here is a question from textbook again. Let us understand this thoroughly. It is in the textbook. Assume that crystal frequency is 8 megahertz. Using non-inverted mode, write a program that generates a wave with frequency of 3906.25 hertz and duty cycle of 37.5%. Now let us understand this. Okay, first of all, this is our frequency target. So frequency, this is the targeted frequency. Our crystal frequency is 8 megahertz, right? Divided by 256 into n. So we are calculating the value of n here. In this case, n turns out to be 8. So prescaler of 8 will be used if you want to generate this frequency. Any question on the first calculation? Right? We are using simple equation. Second calculation. Okay, we want to calculate the value of OCR 0. Right? So again, if you go back, these are the equations we are using. Right, this is the targeted value. This is the clock frequency. We calculated n. Now we want to calculate OCR 0 value from this equation. So you put the value. Right? 37.5 equals to 100 into OCR 0 plus 1 divided by 256. You calculate that, OCR 0 comes out as 95. So you write down the program. This is a familiar program. Include AVR/IO.H. We have main program. DDR-B, you want to turn the third bit as logic 1. Why you want to do this? The third bit is logic 1. Why we want to have that? DDR-B, we are ORing with the previous value. 1 shifted 3 times. So what is the purpose here?
Sir, for PB3 to get output at PB3, something like that.
Correct. Correct. Right? PB3 pin, we want to make it output pin because there we are sending the waveform. Is this clear or not? So very essential instruction. Right? PB3, that is the output, designated output pin for timer 0. So that is output. Then we say OCR 0 equals to 95. Why 95? We have calculated that. Right? Using the previous equation, and that you will use in the lab as well. Assignment 5, right? Lab assignment 5. Right? TCCR 0 equals to 0 cross 6A. So now let us understand this. Yes, question. Okay, let us unfold it. It is 6A, so 6A. 6A would be what? 0, 1, 1, 0. Then now let us compare. So this is our TCCR 0 value. Let us compare with the control register. Okay, so let us go back to control register. 1 minute. Control register. Let us go back to control register. Yes. So let us put down the value. Now see, we have these bits 0 all the way to 7. I will just put down the values here below it. Okay. So we have 0, 1, 1, 0. So below 7 it is 0. Then it is 1. This is 1. Hopefully you can see this. This is 0. right? Then we have 1 0 1 0. So 3 1, then this is 0 0 and 1. Yes. Yes. So again, let us come back to that. That if crystal frequency, right, and that cancels out, then we need not have any rescaler. Fine. So let us observe first 3 bits 001. So 001 means we don't need prescaling. Then we have combination of D3 and D6. Let us check that D3 and D6. Okay, do we have other color? Yes, D3. Where is D3? This is 1. D6 is 1. So 1 and 1. That is what? Fast division. Fine. Then we have D5 and D5 and D4. Okay, so they are here 1 and 0. D5 1 0. So D5 and D4. What is the meaning? Here they are, right? D5 D4 1 0 non-inverted. Is this clear? Yes. Yeah, if you want to put a prescaler as 8, then of course you change last 3 bits. Say it again. Yes, so you can put it as 8. Right? So the point is, we are just using this control register. Right? And the bits pattern that we have not used yet, we are just using them. Is this clear or not? So this is our program. Right? And then while we wait and return. Now from the lab perspective, you have all the freedom to choose the frequency, etc. The question in the lab, right? Our goal is to send the duty cycles. Right? Our main learning in the lab experiment set 5 is to observe the change in the speed. Right? So that is the focus. You can choose any frequency, etc., etc. The goal is, okay, can we have that duty cycle? That is the goal. So you have all the freedoms. Clear? However, if there are any constant given in exam, if there is such question in exam, you should follow the exam question. In the lab, you have freedom. The goal is to observe that change in the speed. Is it clear? So this is our fast behavior. Any question here? Write previous program using inverted mode. So what is the difference? D4 and D5 value will change. Right? OCR value will change as well. Right? And can you understand? It is 07, okay, 7A. So so which bits are changing? Right. So in this case, it was 6A. Right? We have 1 1, and that is D4 and D5. Yes. So if you go back, yes, D4 and D5 both are 1. So if we go back, one inverted. Everyone gets this? Yes? Is it clear? Everyone, is this clear or not? These are the bits we are changing. Clear everywhere on the back. Is it clear? Yes or no? Fine. So, inverted, non-inverted. Now there is another feature, phase correct PWM. A different waveform, again different features, right? You can think about application and so forth. These are different features. In this case, the TC NT0 moves in this way. It reaches 0 to FF, rolls over from FF to 0 gradually. And then again from 0 to FF to 0 gradually. This is changing, right? In this mode, TCNT goes up and then comes down gradually. Right? First it counts up until it reaches a top value, then it counts down until it reaches 0. So if you have this type of waveform, right? And again we have similar scenarios, right? Inverted, non-inverted. The table is here. The waveform I think will be more useful. So here they are. Different values of OCR0. This is value of OCR0. Again, little bit higher. This is the highest value. What happens? TCNT 0. This is our output pin. Initially, it is at logic 1. When our TCNT 0 value crosses the OCR0, it goes to logic 0. Right? Then, okay, our TCNT 0 reaches FF, rolls down gradually. When it crosses over again or under in this case, this becomes logic 1. So, I think second diagram will explain it more clearly. And this is extreme value of TCNT 0. Fine. And again, we have two flavors, inverted, non-inverted. This is non-inverted. If you set for the inverted mode, okay, this is the complementary output. Fine. And the equation for this, again, you will be using this in the lab. Here is the equation to calculate duty cycle. Now, this clock frequency, of course, has changed. Calculation for this. Okay. These two are very similar, of course, not identical. So, these are the equations. Again, from the lab perspective, you have all the freedom to choose the frequency, etc. The main learning in the lab is, okay, can we change the power going to the pin? Right? So, the question is designed in such a way that you have freedom to choose the frequency. The focus is on the duty cycle. Right? However, from the exam perspective, any constraints that are given, you need to follow, or any guidelines that are given, if there is such question. Is it clear? We use different equation. Say it again. So we have, say, 0 to 255, and then again 255 to 0. So we are adding them, right, in our overall calculation. So 2 to 2. So we go from 0 to 255. So that is 1 255. And then 255 to 0. So the complete waveform. Right? So 255 plus 255. That is 510. In this case. Fine. So some applications, right? Fast PWM, the phase of the wave is different for different duty cycles. So there are few applications of both the things, right? That you can again refer in the textbook if you want to discuss, think or know a little bit more. Okay. Again, PB3 is our pin that you will be monitoring in the lab. That concludes our discussion for today. Any questions at this stage?